What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Skatepark Showcase. Today, we are in Hinesville, Georgia at this brand new skate park. The craziest thing about that is that this is the third skate park in this area. Who'd have thought? Let's check it out. Hinesville, Georgia. I came out to this specific park about 3 times just to kind of get some clips along and along. It's not too far from where I live, so it's not that bad of a drive. So let's get right into this sucker. Hinesville is a pretty small town, about an hour outside of Savannah, Georgia. Like I've said previously, there are 2 other skate parks totaling 3 skate parks in this town, which is wild. And we'll talk a little bit more about those in a second. I actually looked it up on the map and they are each 6-minute drives from each other. So Hinesville is definitely doing something right for skateboarding. There are actually 2 other skate parks here, which is pretty crazy. Like they're literally like within like a 10-minute drive of each other. Episode 61 and 62 of Skatepark Showcase, I covered the other parks, and this park actually isn't that much different from the other ones. It's just a little bit newer. So when you roll up, you're gonna notice that it's in a nice park area. There are basketball courts, brand new, really nice, a tennis court, and 2 pickleball courts. There's plenty of parking, and then on the far end, there's the skate park. Let's talk about the layout. It's pretty basic. I would just break it down into 3 sections. There is the mini ramp and 2 street sections. One that's a little bit more for beginners and one that's a little bit more for advanced skaters. They're both just back and forth action. Let's kick it off with the small street section, the beginner street section. Basically just 3 elements. There is a small quarter pipe on one side. It is about 8 foot wide, 3 foot tall, really nice and mellow. It's definitely great for beginners to learn how to drop in and do your basic stalls and stuff like that. But it's also fun for advanced skaters to kind of do some more technical stuff and kind of push their abilities a little bit or learn more technical tricks. Just beyond that, in the middle is a little fun box with a grind box attached to it. Let's talk about this manual pad grind box for a second. I kind of have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with it. It's super solid. It's got a nice length to it, a nice width. It's probably about 8 or 9 feet long, 4 feet wide, and about 1 foot tall. So it's a nice, good size. But what I take issue with is the edge that you grind. I would say the angle iron that you grind, but it's not angle iron. I'm not really sure why they didn't go the angle iron route. They just put this strip of metal on the edge. I don't know if it's a little bit too soft of metal, maybe just cheaply made, but it doesn't grind really well. You gotta get that sucker pretty waxed up. If it was nice hardened steel, you wouldn't need any wax and it would grind no problem. So that is gonna be a recurring issue. If you're not out here with wax, your trucks are gonna dig into it. Like hard metal on the trucks against soft metal is gonna dig into that metal and it's gonna take chunks out of the metal and it's not gonna grind and it's a pain in the butt. So make sure you bring wax out here. So not really happy with the construction of this, but overall the grind box is really nice. It's a nice manual pad for doing some manuals and doing some grinds. It's just a nice little flat ground obstacle out here. Connected to that is the fun box. It's super mellow, banks up, nice flat. Not really a flat that you'd want to ollie over. It's not really that type of flat because the thing is so small. The banks are a little steep because they're just like a little quick, but it's not that bad. And then there's this rail attached to it and it is very nice. I like nice, smooth, mellow rails. It's a lot of fun just for doing your basic tricks and definitely for learning on. It slides really well and grinds really well. No issues with that whatsoever. A lot of fun. And then on the other side of the beginner street section is probably the weirdest thing out here. It's a bank that's connected to the mini ramp, but it also has a step up there. And I don't really think the step up is necessary, mainly because it's really hard
to get the speed to actually launch up it. And there's also not a whole lot of landing. There's only 4 feet width of landing and nowhere to really go to after that. You just kind of run into the fence. And you can see where somebody has placed a foam barrier where the corner of the fence is so you don't run into it and get injured. So I'm not really sure why that thing exists. It's really hard to skate. It probably would have just been better off without the Euro gap, without the step up, and just keeping it as a bank. Nice and simple.
My camera's decided to overheat on me because it's hot out there, so I'm sitting in the shade for the rest of this episode. Let's keep it going. The big street section is pretty gnarly, not gonna lie. So on one side, it starts off with a nice big bank. It's 5 foot high, 8 foot wide, nice and steep so you can get a lot of speed on it. It's a lot of fun to do flip tricks like just on the bank and go back in, but it definitely helps you get a lot of speed to hit the rest of the park. Then we've got our A-frame / fun box. It's an A-frame with a rail and a grind box on it, and then connected to it is a fun box with a hip. And that fun box is, for lack of a better term, a lot of fun. The dimensions are just really nice on it. The hip is super easy to hit. It's nice and mellow, not too steep. And the flat is like the perfect flat. One of the things that I complain about often is flats being way too long for certain sized parks. Well, this flat is perfect. You can get plenty of speed, no issues getting over it, and it felt really good to hit a tray flip over the flat. Like, haven't done that in a while, so it felt really nice. Then you've got your A-frame. The A-frame, super nice. Not a lot of people like A-frames, but I find them to be a lot of fun. You can get a lot of speed out here. You want to check yourself when you hit an A-frame because you're not going over a flat. You're just going bank to bank. So you don't want to launch out too far because it's going to make it more difficult to land. But that being said, you can launch over the entire thing just by dropping in from that big bank, which is a lot of fun. You can just blast it all the way to flat. Then you've got your grind box. It's pretty chill. I didn't really do much on it. A-frame grind boxes can be a little bit weird. Instead of going from a flat into a down, where it's not very steep, you're taking off like a launch ramp and then having to go down like that. So you really have to check your speed and make sure you don't pop too high because you can easily like come down on it really hard and that can mess you up pretty badly. So you just gotta get used to it and it grinds really well. But it's got that same stuff on it that the other grind box has, like on that edge, and I don't like it. not a fan of it. Then you've got the rail. The rail is nice and long, not too steep, and the A-frame boosts you right up into it. I did struggle on a front side lip. I don't know why, I was just messing up my pop, but eventually I did get it. That one was a little bit scary, but at least I did get to test it out that you can't really rack yourself like if you're tall enough, and I'm not super tall, so if it was a higher rail, I definitely would have racked myself trying those front side lips, but I got it and was able to move on. Then on the far end, you've got a quarter pipe that's connected to the mini ramp. 8 foot wide, 4 foot tall, really nice, gets you a lot of speed, fun to do tricks on. It feels more advanced than the small 3 foot quarter. It's got solid dimensions and it's just a lot of fun to skate. So that brings us to the final aspect of the skate park, the mini ramp. It's your pretty basic mini ramp. There's nothing crazy special about it. There's no like extensions or anything like that. It's just run-of-the-mill, 16 feet wide, 4 foot tall, super mellow, a lot of fun to skate on. It's really great for beginners to learn their basic mini ramp tricks. So they could like learn something on that 3 foot that's out here and then take it out to the mini ramp, the 4 foot, and then take those tricks out to the 4 foot mini ramp and really get them down where they can do them back and forth and put little runs together. The flat is a nice length, no complaints on it. Like it's super chill, just your run-of-the-mill, like nicely made, nice specs mini ramp. Now before we end, I'm adding a new section. I don't know if I'm gonna add this to every episode, but I'm calling this the construction section. Let's talk about the construction of this park. So this is a brand new park. It's an ARC park, American Ramp Company. Back in the early days, we went to a lot of ARC skate parks around the South Georgia area. If you haven't noticed, these ramps out here are metal. So were all those old ARC skate parks back in the day. Those were all metal. And it just doesn't tend to stay in good condition for very long. Right now, everything's brand new, so it really doesn't feel that bad. But at the edge of some of these ramps, you can really feel the dun-dun, dun-dun. Like when you hit that bottom piece of metal that meets the ground, you're gonna feel it. So you are gonna have to get used to that. And one thing that I have seen at some other parks is that it will bend over time or bow and start to stick up some. So you can already kind of see where there are a few little bits and pieces that don't line up perfectly. And over time, those are gonna get worse and worse. So you have to keep an eye out for those types of things, because if it does get worse, it can cause you to fall. And then that just brings me back to that angle. I really wish they would put angle iron on there instead of that strip. The strip is actually slightly below the top surface of the grind boxes, which is a little bit weird, but for some reason, my trucks keep catching on it. Like if you're doing one truck tricks, it digs into it and you can see some dings on it. That's just not a good sign at a brand new skate park if your trucks are sticking to metal. That means that metal is just too soft. Construction aside, the design of the ramps, really, really nice. Everything's laid out really well. The only thing that I think sticks out like a sore thumb is that step up. But that's just a very minor complaint. All the dimensions and the flow are put together really, really well. So I'll definitely give ARC praise for that. There are bathrooms out here. I'm actually sitting in an area where there's a bathroom. There's 2 different bathrooms out here. They haven't unlocked them. This is a very new constructed area, so I'm not sure if they're done with everything. None of the bathrooms have been unlocked yet, the 3 times I've been here. So maybe eventually they'll get them unlocked. But they do have some outhouses here if you really have to go. There are no lights on the skate park area right now. I don't know if they have plans to put any up, but I'm thinking maybe they will eventually, because everything else has lights. The tennis courts and the basketball court, those have lights currently, so I'm hoping maybe eventually they will get lights out here. So yeah, this is the best of the 3 parks out here, in my opinion. I like the layout, I like the smaller obstacles and the bigger obstacles. You're gonna see a lot of different types of skaters out here. It is crazy to me that there are so many skate parks in one area, and it's not even like a huge area. I think it's just because there's a military base here, so there's a lot of influx of money coming in from that, but there's so many areas in South Georgia that don't have skate parks, and it's just a shame to see this area has 3 and the other counties just can't get their stuff together and actually get a good skate park in those counties. Even something small like this would be really nice in a lot of the other surrounding counties. But hey, the more parks, the merrier. If people come out here often and maintain the place and keep it nice, then maybe word will spread and other counties around this area will get their own skate parks as well. Thanks guys for checking out another episode of Skate Park Showcase. Real quickly, I want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. You guys help keep me on the road and make this show possible. If you'd like to donate, just go to patreon.com/parksharks. But if you can't donate or just don't want to, there are other ways that you can help support the show by liking my content, whether it be on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, following or subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss a single post. All right, that's it. Here's what's coming up next.